Hello everybody, it's your boy Noah, aka Max Football, and today we are going through every single Premier League club, and I will be telling you the player in that club that is going to have an absolute crazy season and is going to shine this year. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now for Arsenal, and it's just got to be Lokonga. You know, he is a CDM they've just recently bought from Anderlecht, and to be honest, I don't even think he's going to have that good of a season. But I think looking at the Arsenal squad, not many players are, and he might be able to shine through. Also, he'll be a great player in the Championship next season. Now on to Aston Villa, and it's the highly rated Aston Villa youngster, Jacob Ramsey. Now he's an English centre mid, and I just think he'll get way more game time. You know, he's played a couple games this season and he's been classed for their academy, so all I can say, I think he'll have a good season and he'll get a lot more game time. Now on to Brentford, and this is a player I actually doubted a lot in the summer, and it was Sergi Canos. Now he's a Spanish left wing and he's not at all young, but I definitely think he's going to bring creativity that Brentford really need, and I think he's going to help Brentford going forward. Also, I'd probably say he's been one of their best players because obviously he scored against Arsenal as well. Now on to Brighton, and it's a French striker, Morpay. Now obviously he's in his mid-20s, so he's not that young, but he hasn't had the best start to life, and I think he's looked really lively at the start of this season. You know, he's already bagged a couple goals in the Premier League. Also, I definitely think he'll stand out in that Brighton squad and be one of their star players for this season. Now on to Burnley. I really don't think there's anyone who would stand out, so sorry Burnley. Now on to Chelsea, and it's Chalobah. Now this is a young English centre-back, and his story is actually very inspirational. You know, all odds were against him. You look at who's in centre-back, Thiago Silva, you know, Kurt Zouma at the time. They're looking to get Gunde, Rudiger, and so many more, and he's managed to break into the squad, even though it looked as if his future was just going to be selling him. He had a great start to the season, obviously scoring an absolute banger in one of his Premier League games, and I do think he'll be able to show Chelsea that he's worthy to at least be a squad player. Now on to Crystal Palace, and it's Gallagher. Now speaking of Chelsea, Gallagher's actually on loan from Chelsea, and he's already scored 2 goals in his attacking midfielder with Crystal Palace. From what I've seen of him, he actually looks really lively, and he's a decent young player, and I think there's a lot he could bring to this season. Now on to Everton, and it's Gray. Now they signed this guy for only £1.5 million, and it's understandable because, to be honest, he hasn't really had the best career. You know, flopping at Leicester, not having the best start to life at Bayer Leverkusen, but now he's at Everton, and I think he's scored around about 2 goals so far this season, and I think he could be an absolute bargain. So for that reason, I'm saying he's going to shine this season. Now on to Leeds, and it is their goalkeeper, Meslier. Now, I've watched him a lot this season and against Manchester United, and he genuinely looks like the next David De Gea. He can come out of the box and he can defend corners by himself. Also, he's 21 years old. That's super young for a goalkeeper. Now on to Leicester, and it's actually a transfer not many people have heard about, and it's Soumare. You know, he was signed from Lille. He's a CDM, young French player, and I haven't seen much of him, but I know United wanted him, and also he managed to get Lille the Ligue 1 title, so they beat PSG to it, so that shows he must be a great player, and I think he could possibly have a great season. Now on to Liverpool, and I think it's a great young winger, and that winger is Harvey Elliot. 18 goal contributions on loan at Blackburn Rovers in the Championship just tells you everything. And the fact that Klopp, you know, he has all these great wingers, you know, Mane, Salah, Minamino, but still, he wanted to keep him, and he's actually got some game time under his belt this season, so I think possibly he might be able to get a lot more. And technically, he's a record breaker because he's actually the youngest player to ever play in the Premier League back in his days with Fulham. Now on to Manchester City, and this definitely isn't a youngster, but it's Gabrielle Jesus. And for this reason, I'm just saying he's a striker, right? They've lost Aguero. There are no other players competing with him. Genuinely, off the top of my mind, I can't think of another striker at the squad. So he will be their main man, and he'll probably play nearly all the games. And also, he's got a couple goals this season, and I think the confidence will be so high knowing that he doesn't have to compete with everyone, and that could be a really, really good thing. That was my club, Manchester United, and it's Mason Greenwood. And to be honest, if I had this channel last year and if I made this video last season, I would have said him as well. So it's pretty decent that he would have got into 2 videos. But to be honest, he is the best youngster in the Premier League. No bias towards him, but 3 goals in the first 3 Premier League games tells you everything. It is a mental statistic, and although Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, Martial, Cavani are all competing with the same position, he can also play on the wing. You know, I've seen him play left wing, and he's very, very familiar with the right wing position. So I do think he'll get a lot of game time, and he will show Ollie that he deserves a starting 11 position. Now to Newcastle, and it is Jacob Murphy. Now this guy can play on either flank, and I know I could have picked Willock. I'm just going to say that right now. I know I could have picked Willock. But to be honest, although I think he's going to have a good season, I don't think it will be as good as last season. Murphy was one of those players who Newcastle would loan out every season, but he broke into the squad a couple seasons ago, and it seems as if Murphy's one of those players who's always in the box when you sort of need him to be. Now on to Norwich, and it is the youngster who they signed from Werder Bremen, Josh Sargent. He's an American wonder kid who plays in striker, and he's already scored 2 goals against that weird, really weird game where somehow Norwich won 6-0 against Bournemouth in the Cup. And to be honest, for me, I just think he deserves a starting 11 position. You know, I know he's only 19, but Pookie, I have not really been impressed with him whenever he's been in the Premier League. Now on to Southampton, and it's the new signing, Adam Armstrong. You know, he's signed from Blackburn Rovers, having an absolute great season. And the step up from Championship to Premier League is probably one of the hardest in the world. But looking at him earlier in the season, you know, the first couple games he's played, he's looked really good. He's already scored his first goal at St Mary's, and I just think he'll have a great start to life there. Now on to Spurs, and it's the young centre-back / right-back, Japhet Tanganga. He had a man of the match performance against the title holders Manchester City in a 1-0 win. And in my opinion, I'm just going to say it, I think when I've seen him play under Nuno, he's actually a better option than, let's say, playing a Doherty or playing an Aurier. Also, I know he's still young, but I genuinely think Nuno will give him a big role and a big chance to shine, and he will end up impressing. And it is their new signing, Imran Louza. Now, he's actually a young centre mid that they signed from the Ligue 1 in summer, and I just think he's looked really well, he's fitted in really well, and it seems like he's running that midfield, or he's at least able to, on his own. You know, the holding midfielder role fits him so perfectly, and I could definitely see him having a great season, seeing as he's still young. You know, he's going to get a lot of game time under Watford, and he'll be playing in the midfield along with players like Moussa Sissoko and Tufan. So now on to West Ham, and the man I'm going to pick is actually the man who inspired me to make this whole entire video, and I've just got to say, it's Said Benrahma. I genuinely think he has been one of the best Hammers players so far. You know, along with Antonio, along with Bowen, he is looking deadly up front. And as I said earlier, the step between Championship and Premier League is so hard, and he actually had to do it last season, and he did not impress at all. He did not get that much game time, but this season looks like the season he will stand out and he will be a bright star. Now on to Wolves, and it's Trincao. You know, this guy is a young right winger, and he's on loan from Barcelona, so that really tells you everything. I think he really fits well into the squad, and when I've watched him, and I've actually watched him on a couple occasions, he looks really lively, he looks great on the ball, and he's super skillful. And I think that's a player that Wolves need, especially because now Pedro Neto is out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please, if you liked this video, click on my channel, look at the videos I'm uploading, and if you like them, go check them out, and maybe even subscribe so that a new one you can see if I've posted a new one. Anyway, without further ado, I love you all, and peace.